Yes. So the other day, what we have gone through was there is something called RAML in our mule development. So we have started what is RAML and how to write a RAML, right? All those things we have started on that day. So I'll do one thing, just I'll take some 5 minutes to recap what we have seen at that day, then we'll resume from there. Okay. So I mean, till error handling, whatever we have seen, right? So we have seen so many connectors, DP file, and different connectors, different components, and then some routers, all those stuff we have seen, and everything is having its own unique functionality, right? So we using that, like making use of that, like we were able to successfully bring some end-to-end execution, which means like we are able to make things happen end to end using those components. So that is with the studio level, in the sense with the development level, right? So as a developer, I know what and all I have used in my flow and what will be my request, what will be my response, and what validations I'm doing in my logic. Everything I know. Like a person newly comes, either he has to get into the code to understand what exactly the code is doing, or he can refer somewhere where he can get a better idea about the project, what that project is basically doing, and what exactly we have to pass as a request, and what will be the expected response, what kind of validations my project may do. So all these things we will be able to see. So the common place is nothing but RAML. So the common term what we are saying is a RAML. So RAML, when I say about RAML, so RAML is nothing but a REST API design modeling language, which means it's a kind of design template. So every project or every technology will have its unique schema or unique like input request parameter and the output response parameter, all those stuff, right? So similar to that, for MuleSoft, we have something called RAML. So RAML is the programming language. So it is not a programming language exactly. We can say it is a modeling language. Yeah. So that using RAML, a modeling language, I'm going to define set of restrictions. So set of instructions also. Just a minute, please. So using that modeling language, I'll be defining like what can be my request and what can be my expected response. And do I have any query parameter in my flow, or do I have any URI parameter or any sort of validations that I'm doing? All these things I'll be defining there. So RAML acts as a model. So like as I have told, we should have a model for our development, right? We should have some design templates. We should have some design elements, right? So which explicitly says like what exactly the project will do, right? So similar to that, like we have RAML. That RAML we can consider that as a model for our project, okay? And when you're writing your RAML, so you should follow some guidelines. So those guidelines are nothing but RAML is having some set of predefined statements and tags. So we must use those tags and those predefined statements, to bring a successful RAML specification. And this RAML allows versioning, which means like you can create a number of versions and all the versions will still exist. So you can switch between different versions. So for example, application which I'm developing today may not have all the functionalities or features. Maybe tomorrow I may increase or I may add some more functionalities and features, right? So I'll be, instead of writing a different RAML, I'll be enhancing the same RAML so that I'll be getting two different versions. The older version will have the limited scope and the new version will have some enhanced scope, right? So the application which wanted to develop with the older scope or which already developed with the older scope can still continue with the same version of RAML. I can bring the new version, then I can create a new, project maybe, or I can enhance the existing project also. So all these things I can do. So that is one of the biggest advantage, because RAML allows you to maintain different versions. So it allows versioning. Okay. And then there are four major steps that we have to see with complete life cycle of any development. So those four life cycle are nothing. I mean, those four steps are nothing but like first we will be creating a RAML. Actually, this is what the life cycle of any mule development. But we have started in a reverse way, which means we have directly started writing the implementation. So my idea was like just to explain you what and all we can do with implementation. Then we can see like what and all we can do with the design. then we will be integrating both the things and will make things work, as expected. So I have started in that way, right? But generally, in any modes of development, this is what the process is. First of all, we have to create RAML. Then that RAML needs to be signed off by client, like depends upon the client or to whom we are working. So it has to be signed. So there should be some agreement maintained in the sense like this is what my expected project will behave like. So that kind of model I'll be preparing with help of RAML. Once the RAML is developed, once the RAML is written, I need to publish it somewhere, which means I have written my RAML in some place. So people who are not having access to the place called Design Center cannot be able to see will not be able to see what I have run in my RAML. So in one place, I'll be developing my RAML. So once that is developed, I'll be publishing somewhere. I'll be posting it somewhere so that it can be used by some other people, right? Of the same organization, in fact. So that is nothing but publishing the RAML to Exchange. And once it is published, then we will be importing the RAML to our Anypoint Studio, then develop our API. So these are the 4 steps that we have to follow. And then when I talk about RAML, there are a few key elements that we have to understand: root file, indentation, resource and method, examples, triads, and data types. So we have covered all these things on that day. Let me show what and all, how and all it looks like and what all we can do with these kind of different statements, key points. Like let me show one by one in the Anypoint platform. So far we have worked majorly into Anypoint Studio. Now it is the time to get into Anypoint platform and explore what and all there in the Anypoint platform, right? So for that you must or maybe you can use the same account which you have created to download the Anypoint Studio if you have access to that still. If you do not have access, like you can create a new account, not a problem. Like you can create a new account and there you can do all the RAML specification, or not only that, like we can see whatever we can do with Anypoint platform. Okay. Okay, I logged into Anypoint platform. So these are all the things what we have already seen, like Design Center, Exchange, Management Center. Then additionally, we have seen Anypoint Studio. So we made use of this one only so far. Like we have downloaded Anypoint Studio from this, and other than that, like we have not done anything, right? And now we're gonna see Design Center. Okay, Design Center is the place where we will be developing our RAML, where we will be writing our specification. Okay, and once that is done, then I will be publishing it to Exchange. So once it is done, then I'll be taking a RAML from Exchange, develop an application. Once the application is developed, I will be deploying the application in Runtime Manager. And once the runtime manager is deployed, then using access management, like we can restrict some access, we can provide some access to some business groups. So all these things we can will be covered in the advanced section, or maybe Anypoint platform integration like courses. But here the basic things we will be covering. Okay, so let me get into Design Center now. So I got into Design Center, and in Design Center I'm able to see a lot of projects created. And created by whom also will be there for you. Like it is Vasant's info. So it was created by me, and this one by somebody else, and this one by somebody else. So likewise, like when it was created and what is the type, whether it is API specification or API fragment. Okay. So all the things will be available. So this is what I have done on the 23rd September, right? Not 23rd, like a day before. So let me resume from there. So to you, Manasa, like if you wanted to create a new one, you can click and select a new API specification. Then you can give a name. Then you have to select RAML 1 version, create API specification. So this will create one more project for you. Yeah. So this is how it looks like. Here only I'll be writing my RAML specification. So here it says 1.0, nothing but a RAML version. And the title of the RAML you can change as per your need. these two basic informations will available, I mean, will be available by default. Then you can add your own, specifications after this. Okay. And this is what the root file. If you see, this is what the root file test means. The root file basically will be created with the name of the project what we have given during creation. So it will be the same, and there will be one exchange JSON file will be created. So it is like a like mission operator, like whatever we do, dependingly it will write its own exchange element. So no need to focus here. Your focus should be within this. Okay. And this is the file I'll be writing my RAML. Okay. So we have written some set of instructions. Let me get into our RAML. This is the one which we have created that day. So these two are the default one. And then we have mentioned something like we have brought a tag called version, and this version, when we have started, it was 1.0, and then media type I have specified what will be my media type from my project. And then you forget about it, try it for now. Then we have seen something called resource. This is what resource slash employee is the resource. And then whatever method that resource can, access, like post is one of the method and get is another method. And then if it is post, what will be my request body? So this is what my request body looks like. I have given with the help of example. And in case of response, if it is success, 201 with this response. If it is not success, then 400 with this response. Right. So you can go through the previous day session video, so you'll get a clear picture. So I have just told what and all we have seen other day. Okay. And then we have we were able to see something called triads. So triad is nothing but kind of a sub functions, or maybe we can say subflow, where we can write some reusable components. So I'm thinking this headers I have included two headers: transaction ID and source system. So these two headers I'm treating as a I'm considering these two headers can be used across multiple resources, multiple methods. So I have mentioned this in a placeholder called a triad. Okay, so using triad, I have defined something, and whatever I use or I mentioned within triads, that can be reused in many places. So how I can reuse is like I have to use a simple keyword is. Using this is keyword, I'll be able to refer this particular triad. This is the triad name. Okay, so by using is keyword, I am bringing what and all I have done in the triads into my flow. So wherever I wanted to use it, I have to use the is keyword. So I'm using in the post method, similar to that. I can be like, yeah, here I have used, and similar to that, I can use that as well in get method. Okay, so this is what we have seen that day, how to write means basic RAML. So in this RAML, we have included triads, and then we have used resources, and also we have used methods. We used some examples, some types, nothing but this example I have mentioned as 1, 2, 3. Okay, and what is the type of this? It is number. So if I give the header transaction ID apart from something else, like I'm giving some, instead of giving number, if I give something like string, so it throws error. Okay. And what else we have seen, like if you observe something, like everything is a indentation, everything follows some indentation. Like triad is in the first level, and the triad name, it is in the next level. So likewise, it has to follow the indentation. So that is what I have told in the slide. Few key elements like root file we have seen, indentation, yes, we must follow, resources we have seen, methods we have seen, examples we have seen, triads we have seen, data types also we have seen. So on that day, like we were successfully able to create a RAML And yes, RAML was done. And now actually today's session, we will be seeing like how we can beautify this one, or how we can organize this one, right? Everything, like since it is a simple request or just a one resource I'm having, I have maintained everything in the root file itself. But in real time, we may end up getting n number of resources. So our RAML size or RAML length will be huge, right? So in that case, I cannot maintain everything in the root RAML file. So I can segregate this one using a different file systems. Okay, and those I'll be referring here, right? So that's what I'm going to show today. So here I have used triads, right? So I'm going to instead of using it here, I'm going to create it somewhere else. In this place, I have an option to create a folder, a file. So now I'm going to create a file. What file I'm going to create, I have to select here. I'm going to select triad file. And the name you can specify here, create it. So a triad file got created. So I'm going to write whatever I have written there here in this triad. So I'm going to have a header in the triad. So I have written a triad here. Let me try to import this one there. Okay, I'm going to refer it there. Let me remove all this. So triad header I'm going to give, or triad name I'm going to give. Yes, this is what the triad I'm going to use inside. Include is the statement which I use to include any external files. Okay, I'm going to click include. Then which one I'm going to include? I'm going to include the triad.raml. Since I have only one file, it is just showing one file. If I have more than one file, it will list all the files which I can include. That's it. Simply have included, right? Right. So I have just referred a required header here, and the same I have referred here, required header. And that required header is nothing but triad. That is why I'm using is keyword. Then what is the required header contains, right? So earlier I was having here in this root YAML file itself. Now I have put that one separately into a triad.yaml file that I'm referring here. Simple, right? So likewise, I can externalize, okay? And so I have externalized. Let me check if it is working as expected or not, okay? For that, I'm going to get into post method, click on try it. Then I'll be able to see a mock service created. Yeah. So two headers I'm able to see. Inside header section, I'm able to see two headers, right? One is source system, another one is type, right? Which means my triad is working as expected because I have mentioned these two only, transaction ID. Sorry, okay. Yeah. Let me see if it is working. Transaction ID, yes, one header, and then source system, another header. Both are available, right? So which means like it is working. I'm able to refer it from external file also. Let me try it once. Yeah. So both are available. Transaction ID is available and source system is available. And out of these two, in our triads, I have mentioned the source system, okay, without the requirement tag, which means like if you see in this transaction ID, I have mentioned required as false, which means it is not required, may or may not be. You can pass or you cannot pass, like both works. Here I have not mentioned the required tag, which means it is by default true, which means it is a mandatory field. So you must follow this one. You must send this one. That is what it is saying. Since I have not mentioned a required keyword here, it is true. I have mentioned it here with false statement, so it is optional. That is the reason here in this try it, if you see, you'll be able to see this transaction ID without star mark and this one with star mark. So if I do not pass this one also, it works. If I pass this one also works. And if I do not pass this one, it throws error. Okay, I'm not passing this one. Here itself I'm saying value is required, but currently nothing. If I send the request, I'll be getting some bad request saying required header source system is missing. Right, so some kind of validation it is happening. Right, I have not implemented any piece of code. I have just written rammer. In the rammer itself, I am able to do some validations. I can set some mandatory headers. Even here also, I can set like if you wanted to have this name Kumar required all the time, then you can specify that as well, right? And all those things you can do. And now, yes. So if I pass something, it works. So everything is good, success. Then I'm getting success response. And I have mentioned this one, transaction ID as a number, right? If you see here, example is 1, 2, 3, and the type is number I have given. So in this case, if I try to give integer instead of integer, like if I try to give string, what happens? Let us see. By typing only, it is saying transaction ID is invalid. Means it is not letting me to give any string message. Employee creator, no, it is failing here itself. Since it is optional, it is not validating that, but it will fail here itself. Transaction ID here itself, it is throwing error. So if you import this piece of raml in your studio from Postman, if you give transaction ID without means not as an integer, then it throws error there itself. Right. So likewise, you can externalize these examples also. And you can externalize, triads we have externalized, we can externalize example also. Yes, one thing I have missed that day. See, here I have given what is that example. So this example I have given, and what is the data type for this field that we can specify. So how I can do that is the same way what we have done for triads. I'm going to mention type. Okay, so I'm going to say what is the type of my example. This example is of object type, correct? Yes, it is of object type. I'm going to select object. And display name, if you want to have any display, you wanted to show some name for this one, like display name, if you wanted to have, you can have. I'm going to say like what is this? Employee info data types. Then comes an important tag called properties. Like I'm going to use a property tag from now. Here it is, properties. Yeah. So now I'm going to list each and every property or every field from this one, and I'm going to say what type is that. Name is one property, and it should be of string type. Then the second one is phone number. And thus that also should be of that should be of number type. And then designation.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hi.
Sir, we can't mention int type, sir.
Sorry?
Int type, sir. Phone number should be int type.
That is what, like the word integer here we have to refer as number. So there is no data type called integer in mulesoft. It is of number only.
Okay, sir.
Programming language you might have used int, and here we have to use number. And that is going to be string again. And finally, I'm going to refer location. And people might be familiar with enums, right? So I'm going to have some enum here. So location I'm going to give as an enum. I can give it as a string, but this time I'm not going to give as a string. I'm going to give it as an enum. Okay. So how I can give is like I'm going to say this location as a enum. So this location type I'm going to specify here. Type is of string, and then I'm going to mention enum. So if I say enum, then I have to give the list of enum values here. Maybe you can give here, maybe India, right? USA, UK. Likewise, you can give, but since it is like more than one, you must enclose this with. Okay, and it is of string type, so I have to enclose this with double quotation. Right. So I have given this as an enum, and I'm also I'm going to say like this one name as a required one. Okay, let me take like this one location, and I'm going to make this as a required one. And I can still specify the example, like right. So likewise, you can create the type for your object. Okay, now I have created a type for my object. It got auto save. Let me try to hit it. First, I'll hit without types. Okay, this time I do not have types. I just have example. What happens like if I try to give something here instead of name as a string, I'm going to say something as an integer. Let me see if it works or not. It is working. Even though I have given example as a string, I'm passing here as an integer, nothing but number. It is passing only, it is not failing. So to do proper validation, we must specify type. Okay. That is the reason I have brought something called type here, and this type should be of the same indentation level where example holds. Okay. And now I have added some type here, which means I have added some data types. Let me see what happens this time if I try to change this one from string to integer. It throws error saying invalid schema for the content type application JSON, name expected type string and found integer. Right, some validation is happening. Let me try to put with the double quotes. It will work. And this one I have given as a number. If I give some string here, it throws error. So now it is saying 4 number, expected type is number and found string. So validations are happening, right? And we'll come to enum. So in enum, I have given India, USA, UK. If I give something like China here, see, invalid schema for the content type. Error is like location, China is not a valid enum value, which means like in enum I have given three countries only, so I must specify any of these one only. I cannot go beyond this one. So that is the beauty of enum. So likewise, you can restrict your request payload itself. You can do a lot of validations, and now you may like in real time. We all know like these validations and all we can do in our implementation itself, but still here also we can do this validation. What will happen, I'll tell. So if I have all these validations in RAML itself, right? So what basically RAML will do is RAML is a kind of person who stands between the requester and the implementation part. So this one stands in between that. So what it does is like the requester, whatever he sends, so our RAML validates those. Like as the first step, our RAML validates those. If validation passes, like if everything is perfect, then it allows the request to reach our implementation. If there is some issue, then there itself it will be failed. It will not even come to our flow. So by making use of rammer, like we can reduce a lot of traffics, like we can reduce unwanted access to our applications, right? All these things, like we can filter whether the request is genuine or request is really valid. So all these things, like we can streamline there itself, right? So that is the biggest advantage of having rammer in place. Okay? And now I'm going to add one more thing here. Let me have this phone number. Yes, the phone number is of number type, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some more feature here. At present, it is number type, and I'm giving just a 4-digit number, right? So I have to pass in here. One second. It is working. So actually, no, the phone number I have passed just a 4-digit, but still working. I wanted to add a few more validations. I'm going to say this actually should not be, excuse me. Okay, I'm going to say like this number must be 9 digits, right? So for that, I can add some more condition here. What I'm going to do is like similar to what we have done for enum, we are going to add it with type is number. Okay, then I'm going to give some pattern for this one. There is a keyword called pattern, you can use it. So I have added a pattern for string actually. So let me try to do for a number also. Firstly, I'll tell you what I have done for designation. So I have restricted my designation should be of all the time A to Z, which means like alphabets of uppercase, and then it should be of two strings. Okay, and that is what I have restricted. So in my request, if I try to give something else apart from 2 digits, if I give 3 letters, what happens is it fails and saying this is what the pattern is not matching. Okay, if I give something like this, M and N, it works. If I give some TL, it works. And if I give something in the lower case, it fails because I have given here with the uppercase A to Z. Right. So likewise, you can have a lot of patterns. So in Google, there are patterns available. You can make use of the pattern, but this is the procedure. You have to specify that property type. Property type is string, and what pattern it has to match this one. And this example may or may not be needed. You can have if you wanted to have, or else it won't affect anything. Okay. So this is how I have done. Let me try to do the same for number. For number, pattern is not reaching me. So let me see like if there is any other keyword, but at present I don't have it. I don't remember it. So I have made it for string, but for number it might be having some other keyword. I don't know what that. You'll see that. Maybe I'll try to get it for you tomorrow. Okay. So now I have done everything, which means I have written example, and so these examples, relevant data types I have mentioned here, right? Now this is the time to externalize this also, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this one in a separate file, Control X, create a new file. This time I'm going to give example file. So this extension, it can be RAML or you can change it to JSON also. I have added this one here. I'm going to include that there in my root file. So I have selected include, then I'm able to see two options like example RAML or triad RAML. So I have two different files right at this moment. Earlier it was just a triad file, so it was listing triad only for me. Now I have example also. I'm going to select example file. That's it. It will be referred from there. And similar to that, I can create one type file also. And then that also I can externalize. Okay. Go to post method, you will be able to see the same example now, which I have put it in different RAML file. And this can be changed to JSON also. Either way it works. Okay, so this is how we have externalized, and then now I'm going to have this one also externalized. Let me cut it, create a new file, and that file of what type I'm going to mention as a type file. Right, I have given here. Let me try to include that there. Yeah. So now my RAML, if you see my root file, it is like compressed. Like earlier I was having n number of lines, right? So now I have externalized everything properly. And we can say all this as a library. Triad we can say as a library means the combination of triad, example, data type, everything like, in a bundled word, we can say as a library, right? Okay. So don't get confused if somebody asks about RAML libraries. You can say triad, data type, example, all those are RAML libraries. So this is the difference. Like the post method, I have externalized everything. So it is of just 5-6 lines. And then this one, if you see get method, it is of like huge lines, right? So you can reduce this also. You can just minimize this also by externalizing. So far we have externalized everything, right? And after externalization, we are still able to get a successful response, right? So get into post method, try it. All these validations are still happening. So now I'm thinking like I have done with my RAML. Like on the other day itself, we have published the RAML, and now I'm going to publish one more version. Okay. Let me change it back to version 1.0 only. That is what we have published on that day. I'm going to publish it. So there are two versions I can say. One is assert version, another one is API version. Cannot publish with the error root file. There is some error in the root file. No error, but still why it is saying.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, yes.
Sir, in project, sir, is showing some red color mark on the screen, right side corner.
I was trying to change the example as JSON format. So if I change JSON format, it was throwing error because in JSON format, we have to specify, a tag for this one. What example that you are providing, you have to provide a tag for your example. Okay, I missed it. So that is the reason it was throwing error. Now I have reverted back to what is it? So RAML extension. Then after changing to RAML extension, I'm not having any issue. Okay. So that's already good. So it is published to Exchange. Now, whatever I have published, I'm able to see here. Right, there were two versions. This is assert version. This assert version I have published yesterday, and this 2.0.1 we have published today. Okay, and there was one more version which we have published right on the other day, a couple of days before, day before yesterday, in fact. So that version, if you wanted to see, click here. You'll be able to see that version. Right here in this version, we have not added what is it? a type for our example. Right here, this name, phone number, and these and all, we have not added types, which was like a one version. And now I'm going to change or switch to our current version. In this current version, if you go and see everything is listed here. Name, it is required, yeah, it is required. And phone number, it is required, yeah, it is required, and it is of this type. And designation, and this should match this pattern. And location, it should be of enum. Either of these, I mean, sorry, any one of these you can use. Right? So as a newcomer or anybody like who wanted to consume your application, right, they have to simply come to Exchange and see what are the resources available. Resources are nothing but the endpoint, right? And inside that endpoint, what are the methods available? Post method and get method available. If you have one more resource similar to this one, like forum all employees, right, we will be having one more resource also created. So likewise, you can create a number of resources, a number of methods, and then you can add a lot of validations, like everything can be done. And now I have just published and I'm able to experience like how my implementation going to look like. My implementation will have transaction ID source system, and it will have a request like this, and it will have a response like this. In this request for this field, I must need to pass this or any other validations, like if my transaction ID, sorry, source system is required, right? So all these informations will be available in this raml. Now I have done with my raml, right? Things are done. Assuming things are done, let me try to import this one into our studio. So there are three ways how we can import the raml into studios. Let me say one by one, if we have time today, or else like importing it into raml, we will see in the other day. You can download this raml as a raml version, or you can download as a connector also. What else are available? Like, and this is what called business group. So Syncopate is the business group. For you, the organization name, what you have given while creating your endpoint platform access, that will be the business group. So that is the default business group. And if you wanted to show your assets are nothing but whatever we are publishing to Exchange. So that is called as asset. Okay, so get back to asset list. In this asset list, there are so many assets published by different people like Monica, and then it is me, Vasant, and there was something by Rajiv and Manikandan. So there are a lot of Shivnaths, a lot of assets published by them. Okay, and these assets, like I'm able to see Rajiv's asset also, I'm able to see Manikandan asset, Shivnath asset, so everybody's assets I'm able to see. Reason is all these people belongs to the same organization, and since we all falls under the same business group, this is called business group. Okay. So since people whoever have access to this business group, they will be able to see whatever published by others also. I am going to simply change to pave. There is another business group which we have created. So this is the master business group, nothing but our company name. Inside that, I have created one more business group also. If I click that, I'll be able to see the assets published to that business group only. So these are the assets published by Pave. Now the business group is Pave, and these are the assets published. So I did not publish anything here. Mark published something, Robert published, and Nathaniel published something, Sunny published something. So all these are visible to me because I fall under this particular business group, right? So once you get into your organizational real-time project, so they will be creating business group and they will be adding you to the business group. Once they have added you, you will be able to publish, you'll be able to see all these things. Okay. Now let me get back to my asset. Which I have published. I have option to give some description here as well. If I think I wanted to change my asset name, I can do it. Now go back to asset list. You'll be able to see the latest name. And you can rate the asset also. There is a rating button. If you feel this is good, you can rate this one also. You can give a description and rating comments. Okay, contact email or contact name you can add. And this is the organization I was talking about. So this is this organization. And when it was published on 24 And if I select some other version, like let me go and see what this version have. This version details, if you click, you will be able to see when this asset, I mean this version was published. It was yesterday. You can share it with somebody else also. At present, I'm the admin, so I can add anybody else. Like maybe if I wanted to add your name, I wanted to give access to you for viewing this one. I can give your email address, and then I can access. I mean, I can trigger a access request for you. It will be auto approved. Then you will be able to see that. And here I have a view code option where I'll be able to see the same grammar in the design center, right? What I have written. Right. Let me quickly go back to Exchange and show if I'm able to edit somebody else's asset. You may ask a question, maybe like it was published by Raju. Will it allow me, or else I'll go to Shivnath. So it was published by Shivnath. Will it allow me to edit his RAML? Let me see. Click edit. Sorry, not this one. Click this one and view code. Right. This is what he published, and you will not be able to edit. And if you click edit specification, now you will be able to edit anything. And be careful, like it is a auto save. So Ramal, this one design center is enabled with the auto save option. So if you by mistake type something, it will be saved. So you must be very careful. And if I think that this one is done okay, if I think like I wanted to publish this one, that means I have done something with Shiva's what is it, Ramal specification. Let me try to publish it. Means I have not done anything, but still I'm publishing one more version of it. Now this order management process API, let me see, it is on my name or Shivnath's name. See, order process API. This is changed to my name now. The reason is I have published it this time. Okay. So if I think I wanted to have other version like the older version 1.1 or 1.0, so those versions are still available. I can use those also by just clicking download as a rammer. Then this particular version I can use it. So if I wanted to see code specific to this version, I can click this one, view code in API designer, or this version, view code in designer. Likewise, this also I can view in designer. Or I wanted to delete this version, duplicate this version. Yeah. I have deprecated, which means I have not deleted. Let me go and see in Exchange what it is showing. So it is showing with the exclamation mark, which means I have deprecated this one. I am saying like not to use this version. If I think I wanted to delete it permanently, right, let me go back and see in Exchange. Now it got reverted back to Shivnath's name. So it was published by Shivnath that time with version 1.0.1, and that is what available. The 1.0.2, which I have added newly or published newly, I have deleted it. Right. So likewise, you can do that. So this is all about the RAML. So try to practice this RAML also by yourself. And if you wanted to see some other, let me show some other Venkatesh circuit breaker. One second. So this application, this asset was published by Venkatesh, and he added a lot of information. He added description, he added summary, base URL, he added media type, he added multiple media types. We have just added JSON, and he added the XML also, and then supported operations. So a lot of information he provided. If you get into this one, you'll be able to see different, whichever starts with forward slash, right? So that is a new resource, which means new endpoint. So if I click this one, I'll be able to see inside flight what and all are available, like booking is available. Like click on booking. So this will be my endpoint. Something will be there, means post, port, other things and all will be there, which will be specific to your environment. So once you deploy in any environment, so that environmental URL and host you have to give, and followed by our path or a URI path, right? So or else like a particular URL. So flight and booking is the URL, nothing but the asset, sorry, not asset, like a resource I'm saying. This resource is available and I can use this resource. If I wanted to get into get flights, right, clicking on this, resource got changed. So likewise, we have just created employee resource, and he created flight, get flight and cancel flight, and then booking, everything, all these three things he included within flight, which means inside flights. Okay. So likewise you can do, and he added multiple responses, means a request body is this one. See, huge payload, very huge payload, right? And then in response 400, he added bad request, and one more response he added internal server error. Right? Likewise, you can add n number of responses. And post method, he added, yeah, actually it should be 201, but he added 200. And then what is the response type, media type? It supports JSON, and also it supports XML, he mentioned. And what role required, he mentioned here. And other things are common. So likewise, you can write your RAML and publish it. So in real time, the RAML will be like huge. Let me show one other RAML. Maybe I can show published by this time. Notification service or notifications. Okay, either way is fine. See this application, if you see n number of resources, ping, health, notice, and ID, subscribe, subscription, slug, so many are there. This is how real time looks like it is also not huge, like it will be like more than this. Some applications, if you see, it will have more number of this one. If you see ID, and it is having 4 methods, get, we have seen get and post only, right? And he added patch, put, delete, all these things. If I click on view code, so this is what he did. Notification RAML is the root file, and he segregated everything in a folder. He created a folder called documentation. Inside that, he's having a notification service RAML document about that. Exchange model he added, where he added common types, nothing but the data types, what we have done, right? And then he added some examples. And then he added triads as well. And in his root file, he just simplified all the code. If you see, he might be using ping test is keyword he used, the triad what we were just looking into, right? And then here, similar to types, what we have added, he added types here. Yep. So this is how in real time a RAML looks like. So try to build your own RAML. And in tomorrow, not we don't have tomorrow session. Maybe in the next session, we will see like how we can import this RAML into our studio. There are 3 different ways we can import. So we will see how we can import into our studio. So after importing, without doing any implementation, how my project works. What I'll do is like in the next class, I'll import the code, not code, the RAML into our studio. So upon importing, I'm going to just deploy it. I'm not going to enhance anything. I'm not going to implement anything. Just I'll deploy and show. By default, what and all covered in the RAML, or by default, what and all will be there in your project if you use RAML in your project. Then After experiencing or after seeing all those things, then we will develop or enhance our project. And once it is done, and then I'll show how we can deploy our application into Runtime Manager. Once it is deployed in Runtime Manager, from local postman, we will be able to hit and get a response. So that also we will see. So by that, we will be covering our training courses, maybe 2 or 3 more days left to cover everything. And before that, like if you have any questions, we can discuss on that as well. Okay. And most probably like Monday, we will not be having session. So from next Tuesday, we will have sessions. We'll see how things goes.
Sir,
POCs, right? I'm still
yes, sir.
yes, I'm yet to get till, but before this like course completes, I'll definitely give some set of POCs to you.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay,
I have it in mind, but definitely I'll give it. Don't worry.
okay, sir. Okay.
So if no doubts or things clear to everybody, everybody, then we can wind up for the day and join back in the next class. Okay, thank you everyone. See you in the next class. Bye bye. Have a good weekend.